On TRT, everybody tries to dial in on the same dose, same frequency all the time. 40 milligrams every other day, 70 milligrams every third day, 25 milligrams daily, 200 milligrams once weekly, 60 milligrams twice weekly. What does this all look like? It's a pattern of the same dose in the same schedule, in the same frequency over and over and over again. And look, usually with the right HCG dose, the right injection frequency and injection site, that tends to work for people. But some people's windows for good sexual function are narrow and finicky. And this is what happens when these individuals stay at the same dose, the same frequency, and the same schedule. Initially, everything's good. Libido, erections, climax sensation, fine. Then somehow, a week later, they fall out of the window. And either libido, erection quality, or both fall off the map. But then something interesting happens. They change their dose by a little bit. Let's say they raise it by 7 milligrams per injection. Suddenly, everything comes back. Erection quality back. Libido back. Sensation back. Climax back. Feeling great. They're dialed in, and they stay dialed in for 3 days. Then it regresses. Erection quality goes soft. Libido falls off the map. Aromatase inhibitors don't fix it. DHT derivatives don't fix it. Changing their ester doesn't fix it. Nothing does, except realizing their dose needs to change upon each injection to keep them in the sweet spot. I want to give you a literal client case study. I want to break down the doses and show you how we dialed this person in permanently by oscillating the doses by small amounts to stay in the libido sweet spot. Stick around. Let's get into it. All right, before we start the video, look, Cortex Labs, which is my company, is a coaching, consulting, and TRT products company, mainly building products around dialing in sexual function for people that are on TRT. Look, right now, whether it's mastering libido and erections, sourceless, mastering testosterone cream for libido and erections, mastering testosterone cypionate for libido and erections, all video courses and digital guides, everything is 40% off. The code is on the screen. The most useful product to use this code to get the best bang for your buck is Mastering Libido and Erections on TRT Digital Sexual Function Playbook, 40% off. All right, code's on the screen and down in the description of this video. But same thing applies to Source List. Same thing applies to Mastering Testosterone Cream for Libido and Erections. The same thing applies to Mastering Testosterone Cypionate for Libido and Erections. I am a coach on TRT. The bigger packages are booked, but there are still single session consults available, and you can book me in under a minute at livecortex.com or down in the description. So the gist of what I want to tell you in this video is that some individuals are going to do a lot better not having a static dose and a static schedule, but instead employing an oscillation strategy to stay in the libido and erection sweet spot. The reason that I think that these people have to do this is some sort of skewed metabolite ratio if they stay on the same dose and the same schedule. So as an example, if they're doing 40 milligrams every other day of testosterone cypionate injected intramuscularly, these people dial in by doing 40 milligrams one day, 2 days goes by, then they dose 48 milligrams, 2 days goes by, then they go back down to 40 milligrams. And they keep rotating. 40 milligrams, 48 milligrams, 40 milligrams, 48 milligrams, 40 milligrams, 48 milligrams. What that does for them is it creates, first of all, pulse and androgens. A lot of people need a degree of fluctuating hormones to stay dialed in. Right? You're often going to find that people that go on the same dose, especially doing daily injections, their bloods are stable as hell, right? And in the beginning of that protocol, things may have worked, but eventually it just gets lukewarm. The signal from the TRT, the libido side of things, the EQ side of things, it just starts to wane, and suddenly they're dialed out. They go up in dose. Well, guess what happens? Estrogen's lagging behind, and now they're getting more androgens in that first 1 to 2 days. Perfect ratio. But if they stay there, estrogen catches up, the ratios get out of whack, and sexual dysfunction ensues. So let me break down a protocol so that you can actually look at this. So this is a former client of mine, now completed and now finally dialed in on an oscillative TRT schedule. I was at 40 milligrams every other day. Okay, that's just where he landed because he knew estrogen would always land right around 30, 35, had 75 IU of HCG every day in the protocol. And initially, this was a come down from 60 milligrams every other day, right? So he goes from 210 milligrams a week to 140 milligrams a week. The protocol of 40 milligrams every other day intramuscularly with 75 IU of HCG every day, this worked great, coming down from 60 milligrams every other day. Libido was back, erections are back, didn't need Cialis anymore, climax was easy, everything worked, nocturnals, morning erections, dialed in. But then specifically erection quality started getting stunted. Why did that happen, right? We actually ran the biomarkers where E2 was 32 picograms per milliliter, right? There's really no case in which with high enough DHT at I think it was 77, 78 nanograms per deciliter, E2 at 32 should cause sexual dysfunction. But it did. It wasn't just the E2. It was the static consistency that killed this guy's protocol. The first thing we did, rather than try to change the dose, because he had a whole history of like every single dose upward from 140. And none of it consistently worked. This was the basis of this guy's problem. Nothing consistently worked. Get into a window, things seemed good, stay on the same dose, stay on the same schedule, eventually sexual dysfunction. So on this 40 milligrams every other day, I thought we should probably at least first to test the theory that this person needs oscillative TRT fluctuations, add a hybrid of a fast-acting ester. So what we did in this 40 milligrams every other day and 75 IU of HCG is we just added 10 milligrams of test propionate every third day. What did that do? Peaked them up. More androgens, more DHT. Estrogen was still kind of down there. Then estrogen caught up, then started going back down toward the trough of that 3-day period on the prop. Sexual function way more consistent than on just 40 milligrams every other day. Eventually, I got to the point where it's like, okay, listen, if client is dialed in, I'm good, right? But what does client want to do? Does client want to add proviron? Does client want to change something? Does client not like the redundancy or the cumbersome nature of taking two different esters? Remember, cypionate and then propionate. Client agreed to try to dial in on just cypionate, but it was under the condition, based on what I had observed so far in the way that individual responds to TRT, that they're going to need fluctuations. My first suggestion was to go to every 3 days instead of every other day, because you have enough of that fluctuation, therefore, to keep the ratios in balance. This is one of the reasons that infrequent injections every third day, every fourth day work better for people, because the ratios just stay in the right place for sexual function. Not always, but very commonly. But client wanted to keep the every other day protocol. He said he felt good. He felt stable. Spreading it out, there were days where he felt tired and troughing just didn't feel right for him. Wanted to maintain the anabolism. Wanted to stay consistent because up here, in terms of energy, everything was great. So I said, okay, the only possible option at this point is to oscillate your cypionate dose. 40 milligrams, one injection. Okay, 2 days later, we raise the dose slightly. 2 days later, we go back down. 2 days later, we raise the dose slightly. All we did is oscillate in an 8 milligram window. 40 milligrams one day, 48 milligrams 2 days later, 40 milligrams 2 days later, 48 milligrams 2 days later, 40 milligrams 2 days later, 48 milligrams 2 days later. The HCG dose stayed the same at 75 IU. There was no need to change that. It was really the oscillation of the testosterone infusion that the person needed. Here's the interesting part. The E2 didn't move all that much, right? On trough, right around 32. On peak, if you will, on the higher dose, 37 picograms per milliliter. But throughout, whether it was 32 or whether it was 37, erection quality, libido, sensation, climax all stayed consistently intact, which begs a question. This is oscillating doses. It's not steady state. It's not a static schedule, but somehow erections and libido stayed static on a non-static schedule. What does this tell us and what can we learn? It tells us that for some individuals, they're just going to need to go up and then down, and then up and then down. And really with something like this, 40 milligrams one day and then 2 days later, 48 milligrams, and back down to 40, then up to 48. All this really mirrors is an infrequent injection protocol. And the closest schedule that it mirrors is an every third day injection. You're going up, you're going down. You're going up, you're going down. Not enough to cause substantial acne, not enough to cause any degree of energy or mood swing, but enough for the person not to get used to one singular steady state and for things to just go lukewarm south. Is there receptor saturation? Is there receptor desensitization? Are there homeostatic regulatory mechanisms that prevent people from feeling the same way that they may have initially on the same dose a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks later? The answer is nobody really knows. However, oscillating the TRT dose, more at once, a little less, more at once, going up and down, not in a massive roller coaster, but enough to create contrast, just works for people on TRT. So just consider it, all right? Step outside of the box if you're having a hard time dialing in on the same dose, same schedule where the bloods look fine and you should have good sexual function. Try going up one injection period and then down an injection period and then up an injection period and then down an injection period. Remember, as natties, we fluctuate, right? In the morning, we peak in testosterone. We're peaking throughout the day. At nighttime, guess what happens? We trough and we move sometimes between 200 to 400 nanograms per deciliter. One of the reasons I think our bodies do this is to maintain homeostasis in the metabolite ratios. And if you're on TRT, your body isn't doing that anymore. You have to manufacture it, and this is one strategy to do it. Listen, I've broken down every strategy that I've learned over 7 years in doing TRT coaching and mastering libido and erections on TRT. This is a digital, downloadable sexual function playbook showing you how to dial in on every ester. It's 40% off right now, okay? This is the biggest discount I've ever run on this. Code is on the screen. Get it down below. Source list. Compilation of trusted sources for the things you might need. Sometimes folks need to experiment to dial in. Sometimes people need Proviron. Sometimes people need DHT itself. It's all on source lists. It's 40% off right now. If you want to switch to cream or are on cream and having a hard time dialing in, I wrote the video course that shows you how to dial in with only the proven protocol templates that work. All right, this is 40% off. You can get it down in the description of this video. Mastering testosterone cypionate. If you're having a hard time dialing in on this ester, and believe me, it can be difficult. I created a video course to solve that problem specifically for libido and erections. 40% off, boys, down in the description of this video. Lastly, again, April was a huge month for us. We did a discount on coaching. So the 3 and 6 month packages are fully booked. If you need special consideration, you can email me and I may be able to get you in. Just can't leave it on the website because many people will book and I'll be over capacity. Single session sexual function consult that is available. The TRT protocol audit that is available. Go check out the details at livecortex.com or down in the description of this video. All right, my brother and Tess, it's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. Thank you so much for watching. Do me 2 favors. Listen, it makes a hell of a difference if you just hit the like button. All right, so click the like button. Go ahead, click it for me now if you're watching. Get it done. Please do it. Please do it. Sub to the channel if you're new here and you like what we've said. We've got so many videos breaking down TRT from the sexual function standpoint in a way which no one else does. I would love to have you on board. Regarding the infrequency of injections and how some people need oscillations, I want to leave you with a video right here that will tie this all together that I need you to watch. I don't need you to watch it. You're going to need to watch it. Click this video, go watch it. It's not long at all, and it will tie the picture together. Otherwise, brother, kick ass, rock on, and I'll talk to you in the next one.